Welcome to my advanced TINKERCAD modeling instructional series. In this tutorial, we're going to hyper-detail surfaces. I'm going to show you how I repeat shapes and patterns very quickly to hyper-detail walls, consoles, and control panels. Here's an example of this made for the studio scale Narcissus cockpit. These console panels were very fast to model using existing models that are duplicated and rearranged to make super detailed surfaces. Let's get going. Let me show you guys in this episode 7 how I'm going to hyper detail surfaces. This is a small example. This is the control panel for my Corbin Taxi, Fifth Element Taxi project. You can see I've got monitors, keyboards, I've got some detail. Let me show you something that's a little more extreme, which is this I did just recently. This is the interior for the studio scale Narcissus, so you can see I went really kind of crazy. I went like hyper detailed. I've got all kinds of details, monitors, keyboards, controls. It's just kind of like a really super busy interior. And I was able to do this pretty quickly. Let me show you a couple of tricks on this. So I'm going to go ahead and get these out of our way. And let's pretend like we're making an interior console or a surface of a starship or walls or something. I'm going to go ahead and start with just a flat plane. And we are going to go crazy. I can start something like this by bringing in panels and duplicating them and just resizing things and doing all that. It would take a long time. You can do it, but let me show you a shortcut. There are a ton of royalty-free parts. Like Thingiverse is a great source for just gathering basic shapes. But I have a whole collection. So this is basically just parts I've collected over the years. Some of these pieces I've made myself, others not. But let me grab a couple of pieces here. Well, let me just go ahead and start with one piece. We're going to start with this guy. I'm going to make this wall just a little bit larger. And I'm going to start that out as this color. Alright, so I like this piece. I'm going to make sure that it's embedded into the surface. And I might increase its size a little bit. I might come down below it and drag it down. And that's kind of cool. So I like this. I'm gonna shrink this down. And let's grab something also from that folder. Well, yeah, let's grab one of these different ones. It's kind of the same shape. I think these came from like a starter pack. It's one of these royalty-free starter packs you can buy. Oops, it's under here. All right, I'm going to grab it. I'm going to bring it up. And just so that that doesn't happen again, I'm going to move my project way over here. And I'm going to make this a different color. And looks like he needs also to be stretched down so that he embeds. Always make sure that you're embedding. Like if you're not paying attention, it might be off the surface. So when you 3D print this, it's not going to work. Like you need to make sure that it's stuck down into the surface. And I'm going to shrink this also by grabbing this corner drag point. And let's pop him up and let's make him a little bit taller so that he sticks down. Okay, so here's our starter pack. So let's make these, let's get these on the bottom of this panel. So I'm going to grab these two. We're going to make a whole row of this. I'm going to go even more ambitious and make this longer. All right, so I am going to grab these two parts. I'm going to Control D. And I have a tutorial on procedural duplications. I think it's episode 4, I think, or 3. So we're going to bring this out here so that it meets up over here to that. Then we're going to duplicate that whole thing. We're going to Control D, Control D, Control D. And now we have a whole row here. And let's go ahead and, you can still use your basic shape. So I'm going to grab a cube. I'm going to shrink her down. Let's go ahead and put a cube here in the center of these. And let's say we want to step this cube. I'm going to Control D this. I'm going to shrink it. And I'm going to push it up. So now we have these two stacked layers. I'm going to group these. I'm going to turn my snap grid up to about 1 millimeter. And oh no, let's see. Let's duplicate this guy. And maybe not have it on every opening, but every other opening. So I'll do that. And then I'll Control D so he pops in over there. All right, there's our start. Let's go ahead and make all of these the same color. Starting to get somewhere. Let's go ahead and grab a couple of interesting shapes here. I've got this airlock piece that's pretty cool. And I think I'll also grab let's grab this guy. All right, this airlock piece is pretty sweet. I'm going to flip him 90 degrees. That's interesting. See, I mean, you can get totally creative. Like, I was going to use it this way, but let's use it that way. And I'm going to drop him down into the surface. And let's say we want to maintain that panel, so I'm going to stretch him up. See, I'm already surprising myself. Like, I didn't know it was going to be this exact shape here. And we're a little tall here, so I'm going to bring him up and liken it. Same process, duplicate. Bring it over, let's put him here. Let's put this guy here. Let's grab this piece. I'm just fooling around here. Let's make him 90. Let's raise it up. Let's shrink it down a little, and that's pretty interesting texture. I think I'll make a row. Bring this up to the top. And let's go ahead and detail downwards. So Control D, arrow key down. Let's space them out a tiny bit, and we'll Control D. We'll grab all 3 of these. We'll group them. We'll grab this group, Control D. Move it over to this blank space. And we have another blank space. And what shall we do here with this empty space? I'm going to grab something different here. Again, it's all mixing and matching. Ooh, I like this thing here. Like it. Let's go ahead and flip him. Let's flip him this way. Let's shrink him down. Way too small. We're going to make it really tall like this. We're going to increase the base by stretching it that way. Pretty neat. Let's go ahead and shrink it. Bring it over. Yeah. Drop it down, and let's go ahead and make that piece meet itself. Control D, arrow key over, mirror function. And let's make them meet. And already, you know, I mean, this is looking kind of cool. Let's grab a rod, a cylinder, maximize its sides. Let's make a nice skinny series of skinny rods. And we'll stretch these rods across here. All right, let's line this rod up. Again, you want to make sure they're embedded into the surface. And he's looking a little thick. I'm going to shrink him. Yeah, something like that. So let's stretch this rod out to meet the edge. And let's go ahead and put these rods. We'll put one here. We'll put one up here. Control D so it comes up, and let me see what we got. See, already, I mean, that was pretty quick to do. I feel like there's some empty spaces here. I'm going to grab something a little bit different. Maybe something with a little more hyper detail. Okay, these are all the parts I made a few years ago for the escape pod. So I'm going to borrow from myself. And we'll grab this piece. And let's populate these empty spaces with this detail. Let's jump its size, drop it in, maybe raise it up a little bit. Make sure it's embedded. Let me raise it up a little bit more. Okay, and then duplicate and drag it over. We'll fill this up. And same color. All right, so there is a little bit of an example. I've got a flat plane on the bottom, which is looking great. So now I could just go ahead and take this whole thing, group it. Let's flip it 90 degrees up. And raise it back up and duplicate it again. Let's make a room here, so I'm going to go ahead and get this guy over here and mirror it. And then for our sidewalls, let's see, I've got an idea for sidewalls. I'm going to borrow from myself. This time I'll borrow from the ATST project. Let's go ahead and grab this guy. And he's already got some really interesting textures. He's got some great shapes. And it looks like it also has a weird angle. I'm going to straighten this out. And let's make this our wall piece. So let's zoom in over here and let's line him up. Embed into those walls. Okay, here's our back wall for this room. And you know what? Let me just go ahead and borrow this console piece from the taxi. He's going to be the front. And we'll just kind of manipulate him a little bit to get him to work. I'll show you a real quick tip to create some variety on your walls. I want to just kind of add something here to one of these walls. I think I'll grab this really cool rod shape that I made a few weeks ago. Okay, and just so that we're not so repetitive, we're going to give this wall a little bit of interest with this piece. And we're just going to embed him here. And shrink it down a little bit so I can put two of them here. It's all about your imagination, you know, like just go crazy. If you feel like something needs more detail, go grab some miscellaneous part. Oh, this is funny. This piece has one of my 8 rad greeblies. So let's go ahead and duplicate him. We're going to move him over here, mirror it, and let's stick him right there. Boy, see, it's just very fast and easy to pop in detail, and it's just absolutely unbelievable what you can do so quickly. Here, let's just go ahead and grab this pilot and chair. Here's our pilot. Let's rotate him over here. And let's bring him up to meet with all these. He's pretty much already there. Just a little bit higher. Alright, here's our pilot. This is a pretty big room. We're going to make 2 of these dudes. Let's go ahead and grab that one monitor panel. Okay, so here he is. This time we're going to use him this way. You know, this little divider here, this little wall panel, is a perfect example of how one piece can be used many different times. You know, let's just, it's kind of silly. I mean, we'll put him here. And one more thing is we'll bring out a floor. Okay, so that quick and easy. I mean, this was maybe 15 minutes of modeling. We have extremely detailed walls. We've got control boxes. We have all this. Didn't really need to model anything from scratch. I mean, we're kind of cheating by using these pre-existing parts. And me really cheating by using this part I already made a couple years ago. But you get the idea. I mean, it's not super difficult to create some very complex geometry very fast and easy. Oh, and one more little tip here. If you're designing this to light with LEDs, you can pre-drill your LED holes, getting them ready for lighting. So let's do 3mm LEDs. We want a little bit of tolerance, actually, so we're going to make it like 3.3. Turn that on its side. And just so we can make a bunch of holes all at once, we're going to duplicate this and kind of repeat the pattern. So, you know, we'll put LEDs here. We'll do a whole row of them, just for one final example here. Let's just do that. All right, and then we can grab all these. Holding the Shift key down, the arrow button. And we can duplicate these and make another row of them down here. Group it. There's a lot of geometry. One thing you're going to find out is like the more geometry you have, the longer this stuff is going to take to render. And check that out. There are your pre-drilled holes for 3mm LEDs, but not very carefully placed. Just wanted to give you a quick example. But look at this, guys. Beautiful. That was pretty fast. That was maybe 10-15 minutes of 3D modeling. We got these really super detailed walls. That is my procedural hyper detailing instructional tutorial. I'm really happy that you were able to join me on this tutorial. I hope this one was useful. Make sure that you check the other videos I have by subscribing, hitting the bell notification for the new ones, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. If you find these tutorials helpful, consider hitting the like and subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be notified when future content goes live. Thanks for watching.